When I did my top 10 best cartoons video, I got a lot of people asking me why I didn't put various shows on the list. And the reasons ranged from I don't like them to I've only seen a couple of episodes and therefore not enough to determine whether or not I like them. But for some of them, I just simply forgot to put them there. So because I'm going to feel like a ditz if I don't do this, here are 5 more cartoons I really like. First on the docket, Animaniacs. This is the one that prompted this video to be made. Weird part is, the show was going to be on the list when I thought of the original cartoons video, but when it came time to write down my picks, I just totally forgot about it. So, here's Animaniacs, one of the greatest slapstick cartoons of all time. The show centers on Yakko, Wacko, and Dot Warner, 3 bat-crap insane siblings, but they're only the main cog of the show. I mean, the Warners are great, but when you also throw in Pinky and the Brain, Dr. Scratch and Sniff, Slappy and Skippy Squirrel, the Goodfeathers, Buttons and Mindy, Minerva Mink, and Chicken Fucking Boo, you've got yourself a hit on your hands. Another great part of the show was the voice acting. Most cartoons with funny-sounding protagonists go too far with the bizarreness of their voices and make them sound annoying, but Rob Paulsen, Jess Harnell, Tress MacNeille and company were able to pull it off nicely. They walked up to the cliff edge without going over like some lesser cartoons would. And let's not forget the humor. I'm not going to go too deep into the humor besides the fact that some of it was so adult-oriented I'm kind of shocked the censors allowed it. And if this were just the Warners dropping anvils on people's heads, that would be enough. But no, this show wasn't afraid to get educational. And do you think it felt like you were sitting in a classroom, bored out of your skull waiting for the bell to ring? Hell no! Not only were Nations of the World, Wacko's America, and the Presidents well put together and informational, they were catchy as hell and memorable even to this day. I could sing Nations of the World right now from memory. The show lasted 5 seasons with 99 episodes and 1 movie, Wacko's Wish. Next up is a bit of a bizarre one. Besides their stand-up comedy specials, Comedy Central shows just aren't that good anymore. These days their content ranges from dumb to really dumb to kind of offensive. But among the dreck that is Comedy Central original programming, there was one gold star, Ugly Americans. Our main character is Mark Lilly, a nice guy social worker in alternate reality Manhattan, where every monster, mythological beast, and magical force is real. Mark's job is to integrate all of these monsters into everyday life, kind of like the Men in Black, but without the secrecy and guns, and with monsters instead of aliens. But other great characters include Randall, Mark's zombie roommate with a habit of missing the rent and eating Mark's brains, Callie, Mark's succubus on and off girlfriend, who the word uber bitch doesn't even begin to describe, Leonard, Mark's wizard coworker with an alcohol problem, an inferiority complex, and a crap ton of magic at his disposal, Twain, a demonic bureaucrat who might be a brony, and Doug, a giant humanoid koala. They even need to go on? I probably could have started and ended with the koala thing. I do? Well, besides the characters being hilarious, the show has an interesting take on a lot of big topics. For example, in the episode Blob Gets Job, Randall has to stay with his incredibly anti-zombie parents while trying to conceal the fact that he's become a zombie. Unfortunately, like the other cartoon I have on this list that most people haven't heard of, Code Monkeys, Ugly Americans didn't last very long, airing for just 2 seasons and 31 episodes. Third on the list is Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Oh, Aqua Teen, the official cartoon of college students everywhere. The show centers around 3 anthropomorphic fast food items named Master Shake, Frylock, and Meatwad as they do pretty much nothing. It's basically just them doing their thing. Meatwad is a moron, Frylock is a mad genius, and Shake is the coolest douchebag ever. On the obnoxious cartoon characters chart with Roger Smith from American Dad on one end and Alan Gregory on the other, Master Shake gets about as close to Alan Gregory as you can get without making me want to shoot him. Some of the stuff he does would make Diamond Tiara go, damn! But at least it's usually entertaining and he always gets his comeuppance, so I'm cool with it. However, this is another show, like the Animaniacs, where the characters are just the nucleus for an outstanding, if small in this case, supporting cast. Their neighbor Carl is hilariously Joyzy-ish, and as a football fan, his AdultSwim.com spin-off, Carl's Stone Cold Lock of the Century of the Week, is a weekly must-watch for me. Then there's the Mooninites, the quote-unquote antagonists of the series, but really they just want to get drunk and steal shit. And in the first 2 seasons, there was a cold intro with a mad scientist named Dr. Weird and his assistant, Steve. I'm not saying I've watched the compilation videos of those intros 100 times, but it's definitely in the high double digits. As of right now, Aqua Teen has finished its 9th season with a 10th supposedly in the works, with 130 episodes including one that never aired, along with a movie, Aqua Teen Hunger Force: movie film for theaters. Up next we have another show from the early Adult Swim years. Man, the early Adult Swim stuff had some real gems in it. Between the aforementioned Aqua Teen, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Harvey Birdman Attorney at Law, and tons of great anime, it's pretty clear how Adult Swim has been able to stay on the air for so long. But my personal favorite of the early stuff was Sealab 2021. This show is basically a redubbed and partially reanimated version of the 1972 enviro-friendly cartoon Sealab 2020, making it the closest thing we may ever get to an on-air abridged series. You see, in 2020, the show is centered around a group of scientists who are on a mission to explore the ocean depths and protect both sea life and the other inhabitants of the Sealab. In 2021, 1 year has passed, and the crew's professionalism and in some cases sanity has gone right out the airlock. Now all of the crew members are either moronic, lethargic, or just plain insane, and the few that aren't are left to wonder where things went so horribly wrong. This has the same kind of random offbeat humor that made Aqua Teen a hit, so if you're into that, I'd say give it a shot. And if that doesn't convince you, maybe the voice of Eric Estrada will. But be warned, the show takes a noticeable drop in quality during Season 3 after the death of Harry Goss, the guy who voiced the main character, Captain Hank Murphy. Sealab 2021 lasted 4 seasons with 52 episodes, which is kind of impressive when you consider that 2020 only had 16 episodes, and only 13 of which got on the air. And finally, we have a cartoon that appeared on the Not On This List segment of the Top 10 Cartoons video. I finally got around to watching The Cleveland Show, and guess what? It has supplanted American Dad as Seth MacFarlane's best cartoon. Possibly the biggest reason I like The Cleveland Show more than Family Guy and American Dad is because Cleveland Brown is a much more likable father figure than both Peter Griffin and Stan Smith. Instead of being spine-meltingly stupid or a pompous chauvinist, Cleveland is a genuinely great guy who does some stupid stuff sometimes, but it's usually to help his new family, or more specifically, to gain the respect of his stepchildren. Plus, the supporting cast on the whole is better on The Cleveland Show. I like Cleveland Jr. more than Chris Griffin and Steve Smith, I like Roberta more than Megan Haley, and I like Rallo more than Roger and almost as much as Stewie. And, most shockingly for a McFarlane cartoon, it knew how to end! The show ended after 4 seasons with 88 episodes, and the entire family has since moved back to Quahog on Family Guy. So now that those cartoons have been mentioned, here is my revised list of my top 15 best cartoons. Number 15, American Dad. Number 14, Dragon Ball. Number 13, The Cleveland Show. Number 12, Ugly Americans. Number 11, Codename Kids Next Door. Number 10, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Number 9, Sealab 2021. Number 8, Code Monkeys. Number 7, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Number 6, The Animaniacs. And my top 5 remains unchanged, consisting of Courage the Cowardly Dog, Teen Titans, Futurama, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and Tom and Jerry. Now, hopefully I won't have to do another one of these, but knowing my forgetful self, I'll probably leave off something really important. In which case, look forward to my top 20 cartoons ever video. See y'all later! Oh my god, I'm showing up